We want to look at Ethiopia now, one of Africa's fastest growing economies. But just recently, the United Nations warned that more than a decade of development is at risk if it continues to ban political opposition and to muzzle the media. Ethiopia now in its 8th month of emergency rule, which was imposed initially to crush the biggest political protest that was seen in 25 years. Just a bit of history for you. It all started in the Oromia region in November of 2015 when the largest ethnic group, called the Oromos, hit the streets demanding more rights. By July of last year, the demonstrations had spread to the Amhara region, home to the second major ethnic group, and as a result, this state of emergency came in. This was October. We're talking arrests, curfews and media restrictions. It was supposed to last for 6 months, but was then extended for another 4. That's in March it was extended, I should say. Now, the State-run Human Rights Commission says at least 669 people were killed and actually praised the government for the way it handled things, but there's been no independent investigation. And human rights groups say the death toll could be higher. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has urged Ethiopia's government to let his team into the affected areas. He is worried about a possible 26,000 people who've been arrested. Very pleased to have Dr. Negeri Lencho with us in studio today, Ethiopia's Information Minister. So thank you for your time today. I've listed off a whole lot of things there which don't sound great about Ethiopia, and then the United Nations comes in as well and says it's worried. How does Ethiopia as a country, as a government, respond to that?
Thank you. In the first place, the Ethiopian government is unaccountable government. Ethiopia is in the process of building democracy in the last 2 decades, and in that process, actually not only building democracy, but also working to elevate the problem of poverty and extricate the majority of people out of poverty. And as you've also noted, Ethiopia was in dire poverty before 25 years. Now it is the fastest growing economy.
And yet you're under state of emergency for first 8 months and then another 4.
Yeah, I understand.
That's going to stifle growth, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand that. And actually, the growth, the economic growth that we have achieved was made possible because of the peace and stability. And we know that the #1 enemy of the people of Ethiopia is poverty. And we can get rid of poverty where there is peace and stability. And what we experienced was compromising the efforts that we have been making so far. And the government was trying to respond to the demands that the people already expressed. And as a democratic country, a young democratic country, we believe that any problem, whatever the case may be, can be resolved through peaceful, maybe forum of discussion.
Well, dialogue. So is there dialogue happening? Because you talk about poverty being the enemy, yes, but those 2 ethnic groups, they want to be recognized. They want their rights as the people, as ethnic people of Ethiopia, to be recognized. Are you talking to them? Are you listening to them?
Yeah, actually, the government is the government of these people as well, because the government or people in the government positions have not come from elsewhere, but from the people themselves, and they raise questions. It's about equitable use of the economic benefit and employment and so on. But the problem was not the question that the public raised. The government was responding to their question to its level, but unfortunately, what propelled the government to impose a state of emergency was the demonstrations, took a different direction than the public intended. Not only the government, that was compromising the peace and the order and stability. Which doesn't help any of the people who have the questions.
Are you going to let the United Nations in? United Nations High Commissioner wants access to people who've been arrested. There's limits on the media as well. I mean, these things aren't helping the country. They're not helping its image either.
Actually, it is the responsibility of the Ethiopian government, because this is a democratic country and it is accountable to its people. And what the government did was the government can do it. That means there is an independent Human Rights Commission with...
Which praised the government for the way it handled things.
It did not praise. If you really read the report, it came out with a report which even seeks the maybe offenders to be accountable at the same time, not only praising the government. Actually, the report shows that in some places the action taken was taken to restore peace and order and appropriate because of the way the direction it took. That was against the interest of the civilians as well.
So when can the Ethiopian people look to have their freedoms restored? In other words, when will the state of emergency be lifted?
Well, actually the state of emergency in Ethiopia is not unique. And as you know, when such problem arises, it is elsewhere in different parts of the world. And we have even eased many of the provision in the state of emergency. And we have seen progress in the country these days, and it has been extended only for 4 months. Now almost 1 month has passed, and we expect that it will be lifted when these 3 months end.
Dr. Negeri Lencho, Minister of Information from Ethiopia. Thank you so much for joining us. Do appreciate it.
Welcome.